You all, come from family businesses, and what we are going to talk about today is how do you grow your business, expand it, take it to a higher level while continuing to maintain the legacy that your family carries into that business. Why do we talk about family businesses, growth, aspirations, legacy? What are this all words about, and how do we understand this little better? So what we did at PwC was, we took the survey with the some of the family businesses. This was a global survey done by PwC, so it's not just Indian business houses, or it's not just metro cities businesses. It's world over businesses gave their view. Most of them said, when you do a family business and when you are running the business, the trust amongst the family member was the most important criteria for your business to grow, thrive, survive. They believe that economy is at a juncture in their respective jurisdiction that from here on they had to grow exponentially. And they all believe that next 2 to 3 years are going to be crucial for world over for the way the economic cycle is changing. Some of this guys also talked about their aspirations and challenges that they face in their businesses, and what were the challenges they are facing. And remember, this is a survey result which came from everybody, so this is generalization, but it may resonate with you, all of you. So what are the challenges they spoke about? The first one they said is, I am 50 crores, I'm 100 crore, my aspiration is to grow 1000 crores. How do I go through that journey? How do I expand? And what do I need to expand? I need finance, I need right set of people, I need right set of team. What more? I mean, where does this growth come from? And how do I survive through this growth? Am I alone enough to go through this growth journey? So that was the first challenge people talked about. And almost related to that first challenge was the second point, where they spoke about skill set. Now, in a family business, it's a usual practice that me, myself, my uncle, my chacha, my bhatija, everybody is handling some role. What we tend to do is we fit people into the roles rather than understanding what skill sets are needed to grow my business. So am I putting right people at a right role? Am I choosing right skill sets to take my business from 50 crore to 5,000 crore? Is the question everybody needs to ask. And when you ask that question, the immediate thought is, I need to hire people. I need to bring in the professional CEOs. I need to get correct set of skill sets in my business. And when you bring them in, are you giving them a right environment so that they stay with you? So that's the second challenge. And in a simple word, professionalization of your family business is the second challenge people deal with. And the third and the last part was all about succession. Now, succession is dual. Succession is succession in business. Succession is succession in ownership. This famous word nepotism. Do I become CEO just because I am son of the CEO, or I need to prove myself, or I need to bring that value to my business to deserve that position as a CEO? Who will succeed my father in the business? Can I only remain a shareholder, or I should become a CEO of my business always? Those are the kind of questions come to people's mind, and that is what you call in a general parlance as succession. Succession in management, succession in ownership are the issues that people are dealing with. Now, when you are at a very early stage in your business, you are at 50 crores, 100 crore level, you'll say, why do I need to really today think about all this? All that I want to be bothered about is grow. I want to make money. Baniya ho, itna hi samajhta hai, right? That's what you come back saying. But, think about it in a little different way. Think about it to say, do I have everything with me to make it 5,000 crores? And if you don't have, then you need to think about all this, because you cannot grow without bringing external funding. You cannot grow without bringing the external resources. And when you want to bring funding, resources, all of that together, You will have to think about professionalizing the entire environment. It just doesn't work that I'll go to office in the morning, it's my office, I'll walk in at 10:30 or 11, doesn't matter. 3 to 4, I have to go back home for my lunch, doesn't work anymore. Be it Surat, be it Rajkot, right? So business has to be handled in a business way, and that is what it all means. So whether you are big, whether you are small, I think professionalizing your business and making it ready for the next growth stage is important for everybody. So when we think about a business and a family business, in our PwC parlance, we think about this as a two wheels model. What does this two wheels mean? What do I mean by this? The left hand side of the wheel is trying to tell me that as an owner, when you make any decision for your business, you cannot let go of certain values. Let's assume that I'm a business and I'm in a business of cosmetics. I want to grow. But I come from a Jain family. My business value tells me that whatever you do, you cannot be doing anything that harms animals. So will I grow and acquire any other cosmetic company which is manufacturing the cosmetics using animal products? No. So on one side, as a businessman, I want to grow. On a left hand side, as an owner, I have certain values and I want to stand by those values. My growth cannot come at a cost of my value system. And that is how family businesses think. Believe it or not, running a family business is therefore different than operating HDFC and ICICI of the world. Because you are taking out emotions from them, you are taking out values from that, you are taking out culture from that. I gave you an example, and you may relate with some of these examples in every day of your life. Let's take one simple example, and I'm again explaining you what is the dilemma between the two wheels. Let's assume you want to hire a CEO for your business, and you know this guy is very good, rightly skilled. But what are you going to think as a businessman? When I am running the business and I am CEO of my business, I am carrying my family's name outside. I am known by this business. I am known as cable wala, I am known as jewelry wala, I am known as diamond wala in the market, because that's my business, that's my identity. When I bring in a new CEO, will he think this as his baby or he'll think this as his naukri, 9 to 6 ka job? Right? So whenever you make any decision in a family business, you are at the back of your mind trying to balance both these things. And when you try and do that, when you try and balance both these things, what comes to you is these three issues. Number one, we spoke about succession planning. Number one is about continuity, ensuring that your business continues generation after generation and delivers sustained outcome to your society. And the third one is about conflict management, because you're dealing with your family members, you're dealing with your own people, you are making decisions. You don't want to put your family at stake. And these are the three challenges everybody deals with in family businesses. When I talk about preserving legacy, when I talk about building a sustained family business, whenever I meet any family owner, he will tell me, what is the structure of Tata? I want to create Tata Sons. It should survive for 130 years. What does this mean? What does this structure mean? How do I become Tata of the world? How do I become JSW of the world? That the structure stays, the business stays, whether people come and go or not. And that is what building a legacy means. And to be able to do that, you need to deal with these three issues: succession planning, conflict management, continuity planning. And how have people done that over the world? Let's understand that from our panel.
When the PwC does this family business survey, and when the first survey was done in the year 2012, the findings which came out were that almost 70% of the family businesses somewhere fail in the second generation. And it was very surprising that when further data was drawn, around 90% of the businesses fail by the time they are given to the third generation. And these numbers are very startling. And when we did this survey, we get a global cut and we get an Indian cut. And there was not much different. In fact, global was somewhere around 90, India was around 92, 93. So as a country, we are faring maybe worse on that scale of giving the business to the next generation and the generation thereafter. So that's, I think, a problem which is there on the table, which needs to be addressed. The family members who are into the business needs to somewhere ensure and plan that the business is handed over in a smooth and a continuous manner to the next generation, and a proper succession not only of the business but of the family values, of the system of running the business, of the culture to continue the way the business has grown by the first generation and handed to the second generation, passes on from each generation, and those family values are somewhere in a way coded down from generation to generation like DNA. So I think that's something which becomes very, very important for families to plan for, think about, and give handover to the next generation. I'd like to put a question, Sumit, to you on this, that leaving a legacy behind with a family business is something that everybody aspires for, but not everybody is able to do. And very few people are able to do it very successfully. In your case, there have been generations who have been into the family, and the transition to the next generation has been a case study which everybody knows about and everybody talks about. So we'd like you to share some thoughts on how this legacy was passed on, what are the key points that were kept in mind, and how did you guys go about this?
Well, legacy is something, it's a continuous process. It's never like one day or probably month or years. It's something continuing for years and years. Well, in our generations, what we feel like the elders, they do is something they embedded the values and beliefs in the next generation, which can continue for years on years together to pass on the legacy. If you see, we start an organization from individual, then we convert into people, then comes process, and lastly, what sustains any organization is their culture and the attitude. So the elders, the most important thing they do is make such a strong culture that it sustains for another decades and pass on to the next generation. This is where the major focus of my family is. At least we work on culture a lot. I remember very well, the value one I would like to share with you all. My grandfather shared from the first day. At that time, we were reasonably a good revenue generation company in 2005 and 2006 when I joined. We were around almost 250 crores. Today, God grace, we are around 9,300 crores. But the only sentence what he said me at that point of time was, still is very clinched in my mind, is व्यापार कितना भी बढ़ जाए, लेकिन व्यवहार कभी नहीं बदलना चाहिए. And so this one value is something which next generation is always keeping. So whatever distributors and dealers started by my elders are still having a perennial relationship with the next generation itself. So this is one of the values what we keep. Second, legacy or the open discussions will never happen in the boardroom. The legacy pass on will always happen in the dining room, I will say, where you are able to discuss openly with your elders. And at that time, your elders also share the mistakes what they made, and we should not repeat it. This is something can be done at home only, and this is where we spend maximum time with my family. I've been blessed that we are 4 generations staying together. So I get, what mistakes my grandfather made, then my father made, and along with my brother, what should be a new opportunity in the organization. So this is the discussion happen on Saturday and Sunday whenever we all 4 sit together. And that's why, even if there is no 4G network, we 4 generations really enjoy our time with each other.
Very well said. And Sumit, I think what Sumit said in the beginning, that the succession or passing on that legacy is not an event that happens on a certain day, that, okay, it's 31st March 23, the succession is over. It's a process which will go on for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, depending on what are the value systems of the family and how big the family is. And it needs to be planned in a proper way and executed. So it has to be like multiple pieces of a plan falling together to culminating into a journey, which then results in one day suddenly everybody feels, oh yeah, succession is secure, safe, and done in a very proper and planned manner. So Falguni, coming to you, you mentioned that in the ownership wheel, there is a business agenda and there is a family agenda. And it always, I've seen businessmen and clients when they are talking about this, there's a conflict apparent between business. On the business side, they want to grow, aspirations are very high, but sometimes when they look at their family side, skill sets are missing, the need for capital may be missing, there may be a need to dilute stake, but the senior members of the family want to hold on very closely to that stake. So how do families get together in solving those issues, and how do you bridge that gap between what is the owner's agenda and what is good for the business?
So, different situations have different answers. And therefore, to tell you how should we do it, let me maybe share with you again some experience. We all have heard about the story of Aditya Birla family. They are operating out of a huge building in Mumbai, where until some years back there was a rule that nobody can get non-vegetarian food. And then they went out and acquired a huge company in South Africa. Those companies became their JV partners. A lot of new people started coming into their building. They were inviting the JV partners, foreign collaborators, and so on and so forth. And then, can I continue to stick to this rule to say nobody will get non-vegetarian food in this building? So businesses evolve. Now, you are building legacy and you are also maintaining your value system. How do you ensure that whoever comes next in your chair maintains this and still grows? How do you do that? And the best way to do that, and that is in my experience, what we have seen working with so many business families, to put together a document which we in our terminology call a family constitution. Now, what does family constitution mean? When I start a business, I open a company. First thing I'll do is I'll write down articles of association and memorandum of that company, right? Meaning I'm making rules of that company. I'm writing down how many times my board will meet, how many times they will make decision, majority, minority, blah, 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 right? Do I do the same thing for my family? Do I write down how many times my family members will meet, how will they make decision, whether my spouse's vote will count or not, will my daughters get stake or not? Do I write it down? No. Family and business are in a way two sides of the same coin. So if you write it down for your company, why not write it down for your family? Your family is also an enterprise. Now, somebody will tell me, what do I gain out of it? Again, paisa counts, right? I'll do something if I get something out of it, right? But this is where one needs to understand that certain things don't have immediate benefit. The benefits are seen and felt when you live through the journey of growing that family business and passing the baton to your kids. Because if you have documented all of this together in a right way, when you are in a situation where 3 or 4 brothers are working together, their kids are entering business, it's a third generation coming in, who deals with whom is not known, all of those situations will get addressed properly if you document it correctly at a right time in a document which you can call as a family constitution or a family memorandum or whatever name you want to give. In a simplest word, it's a shareholders arrangement, right? And that is my experience, Rajat. I mean, if...
I think, duly noted, Falguni. And sharing some of the experiences which I have had with dealing with promoters and owners, I think what becomes many times important is to have a clear discussion on what is the policy of the family. And policy need not be only in terms of which way the business will be taken, what is the direction of the business, or which geographies we will work on, but it will also be relating to very, very personal matters, such as what is the drawing policy of the family. How much money can people draw? Can somebody draw 2 crores and others are drawing only 50 lakhs a year? What cars people will use? How much amount will be spent on weddings, education? And all these, when there is a larger family involved into the business, are typical issues which create dissatisfaction if not properly addressed. It is very, very important to address these issues at a family level when you are small and growing fast, because as scale increases, the moment you go from 50 to 100 to 500, the amount involved will increase and the complexity to resolve these also increases. So we always advise families that on any such small or big matter, it's always better to first discuss it out, have a policy. Sometimes it becomes very emotional and touchy topic to discuss or bring out in a public forum or between even family members. And we have seen even senior members hesitant to touch upon these issues. I think what becomes important then is to seek help from professionals who do it without having an emotional side to it, and will come and relay the message to the family that this is how many successful families have done it, and this is the way you should discuss these points as a family and arrive at a solution or a thought process for these families. This, if done properly, on small and big issues, will give family a lot of comfort and confidence and trust, and it helps in enhancing the trust and reducing conflicts. And conflicts is something which is something best avoided in terms of keeping the family business together and the family jointly together. So, Suneet, conflict resolution or the way or the process to keep conflicts to minimal is something which is very high on senior promoters' agenda. And how do you think that this can be best addressed by families who are growing fast and want to somewhere avoid conflicts or have a roadmap so that they don't enter or end up into conflicts which derail the business or the growth of the business, and everybody is focusing their energies on something which is not really important?
Of course, we have a family constitution at our end, but that's something, a legal paper to be referred when this kind of situation comes. For me, the belief is very clear, is the bonding which will last, not the binding. So binding is through the legal paper. One value and belief what my grandfather and my father uncles we discuss between ourselves is हमारे बीच में मतभेद है लेकिन मनभेद नहीं है. This is very important, and the difference of opinion has to be there. Of course, when we do something new, then only we make mistakes. Otherwise, we are constant. And the difference of opinion comes. We have a habit of coming with one meeting, which my grandfather has named as Dhobighat meeting. It's like coming with your dirty thoughts in your mind, like a dirty clothes, putting in a washing machine, discuss for 2 days, 3 days, and come neat and clean with the same one wavelength with the neat clothes. So we have a habit, whenever the difference of opinions has gone to upon a level, we have a culture open, because in many family businesses, we have a habit of who is right. Rather than we have a culture, we follow is what is right. And that's the reason the Opal culture comes to discuss in this kind of meetings. So we name this kind of meetings as a Dhobighat meeting, where we discuss for 2 days, 3 days, come out with the one wavelength with a fresh mind. That's the mindset we create. Of course, in Constitution, we have created a RACI matrix, that is responsibility, accountability, consulting and information. This matrix we follow judiciously within the family members, and whenever we have a habit of taking a big decisions with the majority votes. So it's all depends on culture and values. I feel the constitution is made on the paper, but end of the day it's the bonding and the values which will sustain further than this.
It's very well said. The message is that clearly conflicts best avoided, best discussed, deliberated and resolved out in the open rather than being avoided for a long time. So that's, I think, a key message, and I'll use the term that you use, Dhobighat, and I'll borrow it from you and use it in some of my discussions. But I think it's a good term to give, so I'll borrow that note from you. I think one more point which I'd like you to address in this is that as we are seeing families becoming larger, businesses becoming larger, and there is more money left on the table, and sometimes that money may not be required within the company. And we have seen promoters wanting to create a pool out of companies. So is it just a trend or a thought process is evolving that we need to keep business separate and personal wealth separate? So what's your viewpoint and take on it? And is it something which everybody should do, or it's something that only few are doing and not actually to be considered seriously?
Well, today looking at the competition and the technology advancement, this personal wealth concept has increased in today's generation. जो प्यार, जो लगाव, जो ब्लड मेरे फादर ने किया है वो मैंने नहीं किया, राइट? आई एम कैरिंग द लेगेसी. सो ऑफ कोर्स टेकिंग अ स्टेक और सेलिंग एन इक्विटी फ्रॉम हिज स्टेक, ही विल बी resistant to that. But for me, I have a lesser emotion than him altogether. So we are ready to open that culture. Okay, let's sell that equity, and that's where the PE investors are coming more aggressively in this era altogether. So of course, looking at the competition and the technology advancement, I feel you should park certain amount of money for your personal wealth, where you are making yourself and the next generation comfortable position. Through the trust you can transfer the money. So I am firm believer of that. Yes, of course you have to create personal wealth. Of course professional wealth will grow by itself, where you have to create a professional culture and the legacy can be passed on further.
Duly noted. Falguni, coming to you on Sumeet's point that it is important for families to have a personal pool of wealth, maybe outside of the business, to de-risk themselves in a worst case scenario that something happens to the business or the business is not able to grow, and also to have avenues of money available outside business, which can be used for new businesses, settling other family members, and various other purposes. So what is the best way to keep this money? We have seen trusts going around. Is trust the only way? What are the implications of other ways? And once this pool of money is created, what are the best ways to utilize this money? What are the structures in which this money can be used within India, outside India? If you can throw some light on that topic. And I know it's a very broad question, but if you can keep
too
it
many
to the
questions
next few minutes.
into that one, but let me attempt to the best of my ability. The first question was, what am I seeing? Is there a need to create family wealth versus business wealth? Yeah, I mean, bold, highlight, underline, whatever you want to do, the answer is yes. You have to have a personal wealth different than business wealth. And why? There are 2 or 3 drivers to that. Sumeet touched upon one very important driver to say technology is changing so fast that you don't know when your business will become obsolete. And therefore, it is good to have a second shop running. But there are other 3 or 4 factors that you have to keep in mind also. It's a usual practice. I have seen that a lot more in a Gujarati family. Whatever you do every day goes back into business ka galla. Meaning you have one account which is your business account. Every month you will withdraw whatever you need to withdraw to manage your house. Everything else goes back into that business. And if therefore something goes wrong with that business, you have nothing left. It is, in my terminology, called ring fencing. Ring fencing means have something which you have not exposed to your business. And in today's regulatory environment, it is so much more important. You all would have heard about this case which happened in Calcutta. One hospital went through a very bad fire. People were injured. The owner of the hospital, who was not even involved in day-to-day management, was put behind the bars. So you don't know what happens to business on what time, and therefore have a personal wealth aside from business wealth. Ring fencing. There are many more drivers. Exposure to new technology, kids wanting to start new businesses, kids settling abroad and therefore needs funds abroad, so on and so forth. But have a personal wealth. Second question was, what kind of structures are prevalent? Again, a lot of things happening, but it is suffice to say that your structure that you put in place needs to be very separate than your business entity. Please don't make an error of saying, I have a company where I accumulated reserves of 100 crore. I wanted to buy a house, but I wanted to do tax optimization. तो मैंने वही company में 10 crore का घर खरीद लिया. Suicide. And I know so many cases who people do that. So do a personal wealth structure which is separate from your corporate structure. More and more people are going abroad. So people are setting up family offices in Singapore, family office in Dubai, and family office in Gift City. Each of them have their separate advantages and disadvantages. You don't need to go to UK and Singapore because everybody is going there. Each of you have to define your objective and then make a call. The simplest decision why people go and set up family offices abroad, they are trying to diversify country risk. If I have 100 crore of corpus, which is other than my business corpus, and I have to invest it, why do I keep investing it into Indian startup, Indian equity, Indian mutual fund, Indian bond market? I want to diversify, and therefore I'm going to set up my family office in Dubai, Singapore, or into Gift City. Gift City is emerging as an excellent option, and therefore everybody sitting here should, if they are thinking of setting up fancy overseas family office, think about Gift City as an alternate. And that's how I'll kind of think about it. So people confuse the family office with the trust. It's not the same. The trust is a vehicle which somehow can help you define everything that Sumeet spoke about, succession planning and all of that. So trust is a structure which allows you to define rules of the game in terms of how will you share your wealth, who will take charge of the business, etc., etc. Family office can be much more than trust. It can be part of under the trust, but the structure needs to be much different than the trust. Trust is just a succession planning vehicle, is how I'll put it.
Sure. Duly noted, Falguni. Thank you for those detailed comments. I think I'll throw the floor open for questions if anybody has.
I'm CA Mehul Shah. My question is, like family. When we say family office, uh, is it always to be structured in a form of a trust, or even AIF fund, angel fund, or a VC fund can also be is also named as a family office? Like, what are the other structures in which we can form a family office?
A family office can be in a form of a trust, or it can be a company or a LLP below trust. Whether you form a AIF or any other sort of a fund depends on whether you want to put only your money or you want to pull vehicle from your friends and associates. So I would suggest AIF only if you are trying to pull the resources or the funds from friends and associates, because AIF is typically a pulling vehicle. Otherwise, as I said, you have a vehicle option available in the gift city as well. So that's my answer. A trust or a company or LLP below trust. That's the ideal way to do the family office.
A second
Sure.
question regarding Gift City. Is it very sector specific? For example, like I have Madan Bhai, who is like my client, and he was just exploring like textile के लिए वहाँ पे कर सकते हो office. So is it? And I believe it is sector specific. So like I believe it's only for stock exchange or software company. So if you can throw more light on the Gift City permission part, what sort of businesses can be set up in the Gift City?
Mehul, to address both of your questions, I'll answer the second one first. So Gift City is conceptualized and designed as an international financial services hub. So if you go to the Gift website, you'll get a list of what are the businesses which are permissible into Gift. Okay, there are a lot more businesses which are permissible only other than financial services or banking. Okay, so there is asset leasing, aircraft leasing, ship leasing, insurance activity, fund management, AIF setup, stock market activities. A lot of activities are possible, but any activity that you do in Gift, to avail the tax benefit of Gift, which is there in Gift, okay, needs to be permitted by the IFSC authority. So there is a list which they have, which you will need to go through, and textile is surely not a part of it. Second, one of the benefits of going to Gift is the tax exemption in Gift, and that is only available to financial service or related activities. Okay, so it will surely not be available to anything related to a manufacturing business, because the whole idea of Gift is to promote financial services. Okay, coming to your first question, see, you asked whether trust is the best way to do an AIF and other investments. So the way we look at it when we advise clients is that you have a family constitution which governs how the decision will be made. So the family constitution is the decision-making process and a matrix which defines how you do your decisions, right? At the same time, trust is a vehicle where the money is pooled in by the family, because it's very easy to distribute money to any member of the family from the trust. So the constitution is the heart and soul of the decision-making process, and the trust is a vehicle where the money is kept and from where the money will be given. How you deploy the money from the trust can be different as per the family's requirement. It may go into listed companies, unlisted companies, private businesses, land, mutual fund, AIF, venture capital, startups, anywhere. So all that is a deployment part of the money which family has created as a pool for itself. And whether that pool is a trust or a LLP, it can be different vehicles, but that's a pool, and the constitution helps you decide what to do with the pool, how to distribute, how to give, when to give, whom to give. So that's how I'll put it, that constitution will be your guiding light, trust is your pool of money, and then you use it the way family wants it to.
Thanks,
I hope that makes it clear.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Hetal Soni, and I'm into Vysel Regenerative Medicine Center. My question is there any kind of workshop for the family businesses, like the one who has a different opinion, like parents has a different opinion and the kids has a different opinion? So is there any workshop where all can participate?
So I think that's what we do. You will now find a lot of resources available on the net. So if you go, Forbes has done a lot of family business surveys. PwC does a family business survey every 2 years since last decade. Okay, we have 10 versions of it available, more than 10 versions. So I think that could be a good starting point. And we have an India cut of it also. So it's the India version of what Indian families are saying. I think for any family which wants to embark on this journey or wants to bring these points out in the open, it's best to sit with that report. Just share your thoughts with the family members that these are the points which are coming from Indian businesses. And this is the problem they are facing, and are we also facing this? And should we take help from somebody? And there are many people who do this, helping families professionalize, get into the mode of discussing all these points. So you can take help from anybody, a lot of people around. But I think a good starting point is to take source of some good credible document and bring it up as a discussion point whenever you are sitting in a larger audience of a family, and be assertive in making a point and not aggressive or emotional about it. I think that's a good start to this.
You guys are speaking family constitution. So this constitution, is it covered by Companies Act or any particular act, or just a normal agreement between, 2% or 3%? Is it been backed legally by government or any of the act or something like that?
No, it is not. You remember what he said? He said it's binding, but bonding is more important. It's like any other shareholder agreement. You can make it as a legally binding document, and therefore it becomes like any other contract or an agreement between parties. So if there is a fight, the contract can be taken to the legal court. But the intent is not to take it to legal court. The intent is to create a framework which allows and gives a guidance. That framework should operate like a guidance rather than yes or no answer. Okay? And that framework therefore should enable a good communication, good dialogue, good discussions among the family members, and facilitate achieving decision. A family constitution binding hota hai, but it should operate on a bond.
It helps, to a guiding star for the next generation as well. So in our constitution, it's very clear, like what profile and job profile I am going to look with my all three brothers, and what is the, remunerations, the job activities, and what can be done and what cannot be done. That has been very well documented in constitution, and this has been made by you only. No third party comes within yourself.
One point which I like to add to this whole conversation is that I've seen many families differing the discussion on this or going about for this. Okay, and the point that I always make to families is that this is a document or the understanding, what you call it, whether you call it a protocol or a constitution, is best done when everything is good. Okay, because that's the time when everybody will be rational, everybody will want to sit on the table and discuss, come up with their insecurities, solve them, write something which everybody believes in and sign it off. So it's the best time when everything is good. When time starts going bad, then people will have their own agendas and things never get solved. So when everything is going good is the best time to do this.
Thank you so much for this insightful panel discussion.